嗨，大家好。
Hey, everyone! I'm from a big city, an independent, hardworking woman, 32 years old, and I decided to move to the countryside because a friend assured me it's way easier to find a husband there, almost no competition from other women. She painted a perfect picture, desperate men, eager to marry whoever showed up. So, full of hope, I went, thinking I'd solve my love life in no time. But what did I find? A shocking reality that left me furious and speechless. As soon as I got there, I realized that rural men have their own absurd standards. Yes, they want a house and a car, nowadays. Without those, no one even looks at you because marriage has turned into a real estate contract. I get the financial pressure. Their parents save their entire lives to buy land and a car to secure a marriage. But what made my blood boil was hearing, right away, that at 32, I'm too old for them. Seriously? I come from the city, educated, employed, with a solid lifestyle, and I'm discarded just because I'm over 30? These men prefer 20-year-old girls who barely finished school. My friend was wrong. It's not that there aren't enough women, it's that these men are obsessed with youth, treating women like products with expiration dates. I arrived open-minded, ready to meet someone, and what did I hear? Women over 30 are past their prime. Prime? What kind of outdated mindset is this? I have more experience, more maturity, more to offer than a girl who doesn't even know what she wants in life, and yet, I'm not good enough? That's an insult. And there's more. They have this ridiculous list called 3 types of men women won't marry, created by who knows who, to justify why some guys get rejected. But I'm flipping the script and exposing what I discovered about these rural men who rejected me because of my age. Let's go. First, men who blindly chase youth. They reject any woman over 30 because they believe only a fresh young girl can endure the tough countryside life and obey without question. They want a trophy wife, not a partner. Well, I'm nobody's trophy, and I refuse to bow down just to please a man with a grandpa mentality. Second, men who want a servant, not a wife. Many of these guys have sick parents or huge families to support, and they assume a young woman will carry that burden without complaining. Coming from a city life, I know my worth. I didn't come here to be a free maid just because I'm over 30. They can find someone else to exploit because I'm not playing that game. Third, men stuck in a sexist past. They act like it's still decades ago, where women had to be young, submissive, and silent. I came with my independence, my worldview, and they looked at me like I was a mistake. Sorry, but the mistake is theirs for not evolving. I was outraged. I came here expecting to meet simple yet open-minded men, and instead, I ran into a club of spoiled sexists who only want naive young girls. I will not lower myself to please anyone or pretend to be 25 just to be accepted. These guys need to wake up. Women are not commodities that lose value over time, and if they think age defines my worth, that's their problem, not mine. What do you all think? Is it fair that I'm tossed aside just because I'm 32? Men can age and still be considered great catches, but we women become disposable after 30? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see who agrees with this nonsense and who's on my side in this fight against such absurdity.
Marriage in rural areas has gotten even harder. Especially the second requirement, which is even more absurd. Many families simply can't meet these demands. Marriage in rural areas has become a hot topic again, especially because of the conditions that women are imposing. This has left many families desperate. My great-uncle said that in the past, it was already difficult with the demands for a house, car, and dowry. But now things have gotten worse. Women's demands are getting higher and higher, making the situation unbearable. In a neighboring village, a young man went on a blind date, and the woman immediately imposed 2 extremely strict conditions. The first condition: both parents must have retirement funds. She said this would guarantee a secure future. But this eliminated many suitors. After all, where are rural families going to get retirement funds? The second condition: this one was even more shocking. If the husband's parents can't help take care of the children, he will need to pay 500,000 yuan upfront as a child support fee. My God! This isn't marriage, this is exploitation. As soon as this story went viral on the internet, the comments exploded. Many people criticized harshly. With these demands, who could get married? This isn't about finding a wife, it's about buying a goddess. Others said that marriage should be based on mutual respect and understanding, not on impossible demands. And really, if we stop and think, we can't blame only the women. With the internet spreading all kinds of information, many young women end up creating unrealistic expectations about marriage. They're influenced by examples of luxury, fame, and wealth on social media, and they think that's what they deserve. But when it comes down to reality, the situation is far from the glamorous ideal they were sold. Recently, there has been a trend of women from the city moving to rural areas in search of marriage. In the videos I saw, they said that men from the countryside are extremely strict about the age of women. But at the same time, these women don't realize that their own demands go far beyond that. While men are focused solely on age, these women impose an enormous list of demands. They want everything: high income, house, car, support, and even financial guarantees for the children, all while ignoring the reality that they're bringing even more complications to the table. In such a complicated situation, many families are worried and hope that society will promote a more balanced view of relationships. Marriage should be about love, not just about money. It's tragic to see how love and commitment are being overshadowed by financial security and social status. Society needs to understand that the more we focus on these material demands, the further we get from the true meaning of a relationship. Too many people are forgetting that love and respect should be at the core of marriage, not just the house, car, and bank accounts. We need to stop equating love with money and start seeing it for what it truly is: a partnership based on mutual respect and care. I hope young people will value the people around them and not focus solely on money. If they miss out on true love because of that, it might be too late to regret it. In the end, marriage is a lifelong commitment. We should think carefully, consider both feelings and material conditions, but in a rational way. Only then can we build a happy life together. What do you think about this? Leave your opinions in the comments.
I'm Nana, and today we're going to talk about a phenomenon that's exploding in 2025: older single women leaving big cities like Shanghai and moving to the countryside in search of a husband. If you like my content, follow me. Thank you so much. Did you know that the number of single women in Shanghai has already surpassed 800,000? Among them, 500,000 are women over 40, many of them highly educated with good jobs and financially independent. But despite all that, they're still single. And now, in 2025, many of them are packing their bags and heading to the countryside. Why? Because in big cities, marriage has become an impossible mission, and they believe it'll be easier to find a man in rural areas. But will it really? I have a distant cousin who's a perfect example of this. She's been living in Shanghai for over 10 years, she's 38 now, and she always dreamed of marrying a local man. She earns between 100,000 and 200,000 yuan per year, which is great, but in Shanghai that won't even buy her a tiny place to call home. Housing prices are insane. Since she turned 30, my aunt has been begging her, "Come back home, find a husband, settle down, have a family." But she insisted on staying, hoping to marry a Shanghai native with his own house, so she wouldn't have to worry about real estate. Now at 38, she's realizing that 40-year-old men prefer women in their early 20s, and their parents would never accept an old woman like her. The result? She's still single. And then, in 2025, she made a radical decision. She left Shanghai and moved to the countryside. She had heard that there were fewer women there, so men were desperate to get married. I know other women doing the same. They're 35, 40 years old, coming from big cities like Beijing, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou. They're tired of competing with younger girls or dealing with men who only care about status. In the countryside, they believe they'll be valuable because they're outsiders, educated, and experienced. But reality is hitting them hard. Once they get there, they find out that rural men don't want women over 30. I saw this happen to my cousin. She arrived feeling confident, thinking, "I'm from Shanghai, I have class, these guys will love me." But the local men straight up told her, "You're over 30, you're no good." They want young women, 20, maybe 25, who will accept a simple life without complaints. My cousin was furious.
I came all the way here, left my life behind, and these guys reject me because of my age? They should be grateful I'm even giving them a chance. This is the phenomenon of 2025, older single women who were too picky in the big cities, now migrating to the countryside looking for a husband, only to realize that even rural men have their own prejudices. These women have a few things in common. They're from outside the city, they earn well, they've been exposed to high-status men in the metropolis, and that's raised their expectations. But in the countryside, they don't find what they're looking for. The men who own houses and cars only want young women, and the ones who have nothing are rejected by these women. It's a vicious cycle. What do I think about this? It's sad, but it also shows how distorted the marriage market has become. These women aren't wrong for wanting love, but should they lower their standards just to avoid being alone? Or should men stop treating women like products with an expiration date? My cousin is considering moving back to Shanghai, but many others are still trying their luck in the countryside, believing that one day a man will see beyond their age. What do you think? Will these 35 and 40-year-old women leaving big cities for rural areas in 2025 find a husband or just more disappointment? Are they destined to grow old alone because of this unfair game? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about this whole crazy situation.
Yesterday, I posted a video about a colleague who introduced me to a 45-year-old woman, a white-collar worker, who works in Shenzhen with an annual salary of 300,000. She has never been married or had children, and I was very upset. I need to explain this because my video might have caused some misunderstandings. I was upset not with the woman, but with the fact that he wanted to introduce me to a 45-year-old woman. I'm not saying that 45-year-old women can't be good for marriage, or that they're bad, but it's just not what I'm looking for. I don't want to marry a 45-year-old woman. Many people, especially older women, were upset with this and started criticizing my video, saying I was wrong. They said I shouldn't think like this, but what I was trying to say is that she simply isn't right for me. I'm 41, and for me, a younger woman is more compatible. I don't believe that just because I'm a man, or come from a rural background where I didn't have many choices, I should settle for anything. I have big dreams and responsibilities. I need to build a family. My family worked hard to buy land and livestock, and everything we have today is because of the hard work and sacrifices we made together. I can't afford to marry a woman who might have difficulty giving me a child. I need someone who can help me build the future of our family and continue what my family has worked so hard to create. I don't want an older woman because, in my case, I want to have children, and as age advances, the chances of having healthy children decrease. When you're 45 or older, pregnancy becomes risky and not safe anymore. So, for health and safety reasons, I prefer a younger woman. I understand that, as a man, I have the right to choose a younger woman because I have that privilege. I am successful, I earn 300,000 a year, I own a house and a car. It's not wrong for me to want to look for a younger, beautiful, and healthy woman. I don't need a woman with high academic qualifications. For me, having a high level of education isn't as relevant if I can be happy with someone younger. I understand that this might be hard to accept for some women, but the truth is that, as men, we look for youth and beauty, not necessarily a diploma. What matters more is that the woman is young because, biologically, youth is a big asset. Education and career come later, and, as many know, men reach their peak later, while women hit their peak earlier, in their 20s and 30s. That's why, if I'm going to get married, I prefer a woman who's in her prime, healthy, and capable of giving me children in the future. If someone thinks I'm wrong, that's okay. Everyone has their perspective. But, personally, I won't marry a woman in her 40s or 50s. To me, it just doesn't make sense. And please, don't judge me or blame me for having this preference. I'm just saying what I'm looking for, and it's my choice. If I can't find a woman here in China who meets my criteria, I might look abroad, where younger and healthier women are available. And if I have the means to look for a younger woman, why wouldn't I? I have the means for it. So please don't criticize me for this. Men usually look for younger women, and it's not because we don't have money or power. If we have the means, we look for what's best for us, and what's best, in my view, is a younger, healthier woman. So, guys, do you agree with this? Am I right?
As I mentioned in another video on the channel, it won't be long before small towns in rural China become ghost towns. The issue isn't just rapid urbanization, but a deeper problem that's killing rural areas: low birth rates, men's refusal to marry just any woman, and the absurd demands from women who, at the same time, expect too much and are unwilling to accept the few men available. The situation is already critical. The birth rate in rural China is falling every year. What we see is a mass exodus of young people to the big cities, where opportunities are much greater, and an aging population in the villages. Meanwhile, women, especially the older ones, are being left behind. But what's really happening? On one hand, rural men don't want to marry just any woman. It's not hard to understand why. If you're a man living in a rural area with few growth prospects, a simple life, and a modest salary, what do you want from life? You want a woman who will not only accept this simple life, but will also support you. And that, my friends, is not exactly what rural women are looking for. On the other hand, women, especially younger ones, have demands that often border on the unreal. They want a man with a good education, a solid financial position, a house, and a car. This, of course, makes sense if you live in Beijing or Shanghai, where such expectations can be somewhat justified. But in the countryside, it's a recipe for failure. The result? Men and women are drifting further apart, creating a vicious cycle where women are left alone, and men can't find partners willing to face the harsh realities of rural life. The lack of interest in these relationships creates a vacuum, and at the same time, family planning policies and rapid urbanization are leaving these areas increasingly empty. By 2050, these regions will be nothing more than distant memories of the past. Will the countryside disappear? In many areas, it already is. I would say this is the greatest paradox of rural China. As the economy advances, rural areas become emptier, and people, especially women, create expectations that are increasingly far from reality. And in the middle of it all, it's the men who suffer, caught in a cycle of rejection, with no one to share their lives with, and perhaps even losing the will to change the situation. So, what's left for us? The answer is simple: a future of empty towns, where the population ages more and more, without the renewal that comes from new births and marriages. Women will need to rethink their demands, and men will have to realize that unrealistic expectations are not the solution. If there's no balance between the two, the countryside in 2050 will be nothing but a shadow of what it once was. And what do you think about all this? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next video.